On a recent episode of Joe Rogan's podcast, the conversation jumped across so many different topics that it felt less like a formal interview and more like watching a pinball machine in action. Fast, unexpected, and strangely entertaining.
When you say suing media, are you talking about the CBS lawsuit?
Among other things.
Right, but don't you think there's a real issue with what they did?
At one point, Bernie brought up Trump's lawsuits against certain media outlets, but it quickly became clear he didn't really have the facts straight. Next voice. He even admitted himself, well, you could go to ABC, but I'm not sure about that one. George Stephanopoulos said something Trump didn't like. But what exactly did Stephanopoulos say? I honestly can't remember.
We could go to ABC, but I'm not aware of that one either.
Well, George Stephanopoulos said something that he didn't like. But the point is,
what did Stephanopoulos say?
I can't remember. It was I honestly don't remember.
And that's exactly why today we're digging into these lawsuits ourselves. Think of this as a fact-checking session for Bernie. Because around here, we stick to evidence and a little thing called common sense. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and let's get started.
And I got to say, one of the things, and there's a lot of arguments about Trump, that worries me very, very much is this movement toward authoritarianism and going after media, suing media, taking away the authority that Congress has.
When you say suing media, are you talking about the CBS lawsuit?
Among other things.
Right, but don't you think there's a real issue with what they did?
No.
You don't think that there's a real issue in editing conversations to give someone an answer that's different than what they really answered?
Joe, I've been on 8 zillion shows, right? In my life.
Okay.
Now, should I sue you if you ask me some stupid question that I don't like, right? Or that you do something? Should I sue you?
Yeah, but that's not what...
Now, Bernie tried to spin the whole thing as Trump being thin-skinned, complaining about tough questions he didn't enjoy. But that's just a cartoon version of reality. Keep in mind, Trump dealt with endless confrontations from reporters like Jim Acosta, and never once did he take them to court. Why? Because even hostile or annoying questions usually don't meet the legal standard for a lawsuit. Where things change is when you deal with outlets like CBS or the Des Moines Register. That's a completely different situation. These lawsuits aren't simply about negative headlines. They involve actions that could have influenced public opinion during an election. Whether you agree or not, that's at least a serious issue worth debating. But Bernie? He skipped over the details and jumped straight into a caricature. So let's lay out the facts and see if his argument holds up.
Sued ABC. He has sued Meta. He is suing the Des Moines Register. He is suing CBS for this Kamala Harris interview. That's what a free press is about. You don't like it, you got to live with it. You do something, I'm not going to sue you, Joe.
Right, but it's not that simple, right? Like, let's not talk about Trump, but let's talk about another candidate, someone on the right and someone on the left. And there's a concerted effort to promote this person that's on the right. And so the polls are rigged, or these are funded polls that make it look like this person on the right is winning by a substantial margin, and what this does is decreases the motivation that people have to come out and vote against them.
That's happening.
So it's fake.
Here's the context. Just days before Election Day, the Des Moines Register, praised by Rachel Maddow as the gold standard of polling, had Kamala leading Trump by 3 points. CNN, MSNBC, and just about every major outlet ran with that story nonstop. But then election night arrived. Trump didn't just win Iowa, he crushed it by about 14 points. That's nowhere near the margin of error. Now, sure, polling isn't perfect and the entire industry has issues, but missing by that much? That's reckless. Does filing a lawsuit make Trump look overly sensitive? Maybe. But think of it this way. It's like having damaging false information spread about you right before you're about to close $1 billion deal. Even if your fundamentals are strong, it can still do real damage.
Other lawsuit with the conversation that they had with Kamala Harris, where they edited the answers that she had to make it look more precise.
60 Minutes, they were suing 60 Minutes.
Yes.
Is, to my mind, historically, they've been around for a very long time. They're not infallible, but I think you look at most objective people will say 60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism.
And here's the thing. Bernie acts like the media's long history somehow shield them from accountability. He makes it sound like decades of reputation means they should never be challenged. That's exactly where Joe Rogan pushed back. He didn't shout or get aggressive, but he did calmly take Bernie's claims apart by pointing out the facts.
Investigative journalism, if you change someone's answers. If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense, and you edit that out and insert another answer to a different question that seems more cogent.
All right, Joe, then you're walking down, you're walking down a dangerous path. Suing media has the impact of intimidating media. All right, if somebody sues you, all right, let me finish. All right.
Okay.
Somebody sues you, why not you? You could be sued tomorrow, right?
The idea that Bernie's pushing becomes laughable once you look at the actual evidence. Anyone who watched the full, unedited Kamala Harris interview on 60 Minutes wouldn't come away with the conclusion he's trying to sell. Yes, 60 Minutes has done strong work in the past, but that doesn't mean they get a lifetime pass. They knew their case wasn't solid, and the $16 million settlement proves it. The real takeaway? It probably forced them to be more careful in the future. And let's not forget, platforms like X and Facebook have engaged in censorship too. Funny enough, Bernie never criticized them. But as the conversation went on, you could sense Bernie realizing his talking points were crumbling. That's when he threw out a far-fetched hypothetical, just to change the subject.
If somebody sues you, all right, let me finish. All right.
Okay.
Somebody sues you, why not you? You could be sued tomorrow, right? Because you are doing this. You're too sympathetic to this.
Right.
And Joe, you did that. And they have a big law firm behind you. You're going to have to spend zillions of dollars defending yourself. You know what? Next time you do an interview, you say, maybe I'm not going to go in that area. Right?
No, but it's not that. It's editing things to make this deceptive editing.
Joe,
so in deceptive editing,
I don't
you
know,
give people a different perception of who this candidate is than reality.
All right, but you got to explain.
But that's not objective journalism.
I know, but
that's campaigning for that person.
Right, but
would you agree with that?
I don't have those details. I don't know that I agree.
Take ABC, for example. George Stephanopoulos went on air and flat out claimed that Trump had been found civilly liable for groping someone. That wasn't true, not even close. This wasn't a small mistake. It was a major misrepresentation of the facts. And coming from a high-profile journalist on a major network, that's huge. No surprise, ABC ended up paying $15 million to settle to put it in perspective. Plenty of media outlets criticize Trump or any politician. That's fair game. But falsely saying a court made a ruling it never did? That crosses a serious line. In that sense, Trump's lawsuit wasn't just about protecting his reputation. It was about drawing a line in the sand.
That's universally accepted that that's what they did.
Then you got to tell me why he is suing ABC. Why he's suing Meta.
Let's just talk about the 60 Minutes one first.
No, but it's not just.
We could go to ABC, but I'm not aware of that one either.
George Stephanopoulos said something that he didn't like. But the point is,
what did Stephanopoulos say?
I can't remember. It was I honestly don't remember. But
I think what he was saying was factually incorrect about the results of one of Trump's trials.
All right. Guess what? If I were to sue everybody who said things that were factually incorrect about me, I'd be suing people zillions of times.
And here's what's really telling. Bernie definitely knew about all this, but conveniently left it out because it completely destroys his argument. So now I want to hear from you. What's your take? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you know people who want their news from an independent source, share this video with them. That's how we chip away at the grip of partisan media. And above all, keep questioning and keep thinking for yourself.